Are we ready? Okay, meeting will come to order, please, at 7 o'clock. Kayla, if I may have roll call.
Ron Jones.
Yep.
Tom Johnson.
Here.
Debbie Darlis.
Here.
Tom Sargent.
Here.
Patrick Blair.
Here.
Seth Halen.
Here.
Colette Blasman.
Here.
Well, we've got everybody.
Oh, and I'm also present, and so is Mike Glad, the Economic Development Director.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the agenda?
What I want to do before we accept it, I want to make a modification to the agenda and add a discussion for a zoning removal of the PRD from the OC, RR, and R1. I'd like to add that in for a discussion for possible action. And we can just add that after we approve it.
Okay, I have a second on that. And then we'll get into the
I'll
minutes.
second it.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying.
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, I have a motion to approve the minutes of June the 9th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
Second? He wasn't here, was he? Tom? Second on?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yes? Motion's carried. Okay.
So the discussion on the zoning modification to the OC, RR, and R1 is a discussion relating to the elimination of the planned residential development sections of those zoning, what do we call that, the zoning districts.
We could, this is just a continuation on from last meeting. This is a zoning request change. The applicant is requesting a zoning amendment change from current OR Office Research Zoning District to LI Light Industrial Zoning District. The parcel numbers are included. Amendment number one was talking about the proposed changes for the zoning map of OR to R3, medium high density, and LI Light Industrial. And then there's another zoning amendment that we have out here for OR to LI, and it consists of 99.77 acres. And they have a parcel included in our agenda. And then after that, we'll have a town center historical district discussion.
So the consideration to removal of the PRD, we would send that over to planning.
Yes, and we'll, do you want that first on the agenda?
Well, we could discuss that now if you like, or we could put it at the end.
I would put it at the end.
Okay.
If you have the time.
All right, very good. Let's move that down into the end of the agenda. Okay.
Okay, we all set on that?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a zoning amendment application from 4529 to 4547 Matador Road. Mike, would you like to make a comment on that, please?
Yeah, so, as per last meeting, we reached out, Todd was here to present, and then there were specific questions that the board had concerning water and sewer. There was questions regarding taxes, and if we change the zoning, would there be an increase in taxes? As well as there were some different scenarios in mapping that you guys requested. Looking at across the street from this and doing some modifications for RR and R3 up on Howe, and then different scenarios with the application's original request and how that would fit. So you have the maps in front of you from regional as well as Todd Keats here to be included with our discussion.
you guys want me to do another overview of what we did? So this is the application, the applicant's request. It's just that area to go from OR to the LI. And then when we were looking at this at regional planning and looking at your comprehensive plan, this whole area there, outlined in the purple as well as along our road was also shown in the comp plan as going from OR to an LI district. However, when we looked at this at regional planning, we thought the houses on Howe Road there should stay residential and be an R3 district consistent with the houses across the street, and they actually matched that. If you change them to LI, they would just be like industrial. They would just be continuing non-conforming. They're not conforming in the OR district. All the houses in this area are all currently not conforming. So basically, what we recommended was, and we'll just go to this next map real fast. So this is just looking at the environmental aspects. There really isn't, other than that little creek that runs through the middle of it, there really isn't any environmental aspects that would overly hinder development. This is the existing land use. So the green color is the agriculture. The yellows are all residential. The purples and those are industrial. And then the faded out stuff is in the city of Talmadge, actually. And then this is the future land use that shows all that as industrial. And what happened there? That's the current zoning. Okay. So that's the current zoning. It's all OR, office research. And then this is what it would look like when regional planning proposed. And I think this is it. And then you guys asked us to look at some more. So hold on. So I got to drop this down. And so I have the alternative zoning here. I'm just going to go to these other two maps real quick. So this first map, are you going to open? It's going to open. It's not working. What? Why is that working? Well, on my screen, I'm showing the map I handed out, which is the map that is yellow and green. It shows the sewered areas in yellow, the green areas potable water, the area along Bristol Parkway. All that area should have water to it. Let me see if I can get these other maps to open. The next map I have is a traffic map. And it opens on my screen, but it's not opening up there. Why is that? Try this. Well, okay, I'll you were asking about traffic numbers and things like that. So on Howe Road, we're looking at about 3,100, almost 3,200 trips per day. On Mogador Road, you're looking at 8,000 trips going north to south. And then on Sunnybrook, it's just under 1,000 trips, or just under 800 trips per day is what you have there. So that's the kind of traffic you have currently. The majority of that traffic is coming down Mogador. It's not, I would have, just from driving it myself, I would have thought Howe Road had more trips than it does, but it's apparently not. And then the last one, which is really horrible because it was the alternative you guys asked for. So the alternative you asked for, come on, is in the maps for me. Mike made the maps showing the R3 along Howe Road, showing that area west of Mogador that's in the township as being LI, and then the farm on the east side of Mogador, south of those houses along Howe, being rural residential RR is what we're showing. So instead of being industrial or the office research, they would be shown as RR. Houses on Howe Road R3, and then that small area here west of Mogador would be shown as light industrial. So that was what we were asked to provide. And you do have hard copy maps, it's just not coming up on the screen.
Okay, on the change to LI, we have run into a little problem with that, I understand.
I don't know. Is there any public comments? Because I had heard some things, but I don't know what is actually going on with that. So
Okay with it.
I would guess we'll wait till public comments and see what they have, but I heard that they
Okay.
might do something.
Does anybody have anything to say about that?
I actually do. As
Could
I
you
mentioned,
mention your name and address, sir?
James McKee,
Where do you live at?
4505, Ottawa.
And then, there's one more comment that I got a call back in for, and if you don't mind, just before you would go ahead, I'm just gonna, there's a telephone call just before, it was from 580 Howe, Doug Tico, and he is not in favor of this zoning change. Go ahead, sir.
At this point in time, we would like, we're kind of vehemently against changing that to LI. My impression was that, is it De Lorenzo? De Lorenzo?
That's,
Yes. Are you guys the property owners there? Yeah. Okay, that's kind of what's came to my attention at this point in time. That application that you submitted, that you were the owners, and the only way you were able to put forth that application is being the owners. And my impression is that you're buying that under land contract, correct? I have that right here. And then which makes us the owners, which makes the seller, Bruce Bowers, the owner at this point in time. Who's that? So what we're kind of moving towards is, since you aren't the owners of that property and you put forth that designation, I thought that would invalidate that situation. I would move to petition the commission to change everything, that whole 99 acres, to R3. And I think mostly all the residents here are for that. And that kind of starred a few areas in regards to indicating that Bruce Bowers is still the current owner. Do you see the stars? Excuse me.
Is this our copy?
I actually need that back, but seller is the owner of real property located at 4529 and 4547 Motor Road, Kent, Ohio, 44240, and more fully described as follows. And terms and condition, the purchaser agrees to pay. You can go through that. Title, evidence, and deed. Since the title is not in Mr. De Lorenzo's name, nor the deed, he is not the current owner of said property. So I would petition the commission at this time to open to the R3 designation of that 99.9 acres that we're kind of discussing. I think Mr. Bills is in agreement with that, and the Condos are in agreement with that, the Hayfords are in agreement with that.
Unless Todd knows something other than I would on this, which, I'm not going to give a legal opinion on that because I'm obviously not an attorney. I'd highly recommend that the board send that off to the prosecuting attorney, have them take a look at it, see if the application is intact and good to go, or if something needs to change.
Okay.
Those starred areas indicate terms and conditions.
yeah, I think that's what we'll do, is
Postpone.
send that off to the prosecutors, get a clarification. Like I said, I'm not an attorney, and having worked with real estate previously, when you have a land contract, you still are not the owner of the property. And so the deed's been, signed. So at this point, yes, I think that's what we need to do, is send this off to the prosecutors, get clarification on it. And then come back when we get the information back from them. That's it, okay.
Sir, could I get that back there?
No, I'll give it back.
I'm sorry.
Let me read through it.
Okay. I believe the next part,
We need to make a motion to
send it off.
table.
Yeah, are we tabling this
Yeah,
again
we-
due to this?
I wouldn't table, I would continue the meeting.
Continue.
Continue the meeting, so should we, I mean, be present here to discuss our points on the LI, or is that, right now, are we tabling the whole thing, so we don't, should we just adjourn? Because the rest of the land, the other stuff is across the street, and this is that one.
Well, that's up to the board. If you want,
I mean,
if you want to hear them out because you don't know, the question that comes into play is can he sign as the owner on the application of the property? That's the question.
We did purchase an land contract, but Bruce Bowers 100% supports this process. So if we need to have him apply based on
And be here.
this situation, that's not an issue.
But that would start it all from, so if somebody came in with a new application and a new signature, that would restart the whole process. I would have to send letters out, have a public hearing again, and do it all over again based off of that application. I couldn't just take this application and go forward.
I understand, but we would do that.
Yeah, we would do whatever we need to do. I look at Bruce as just, like, when you get a note on your house, the bank, you still owe the bank, you get a note on the land contract. Bruce is the bank. There's been substantial money involved already in this.
Well, I think.
And if we needed to,
Did you guys have but I'm sorry, did you have a motion, a second, everything's approved on that? to
We
set it up?
haven't done anything as of yet.
Okay, so you could hear him out and then make your motion on which way you want to go with that. If you want to send it to the prosecutor's office, let him talk, and then send it off.
It would depend on what action that the applicant would want to take. If they want to withdraw this application, resubmit with, I guess, Bruce.
That's correct.
So it sounds to me like you're gonna have to get a legal opinion.
Well, if you want to go further with the current one,
You need a legal opinion.
we would need to get a legal opinion on how the definition of ownership is defined.
Right.
If you would, and right now, we are kind of believing that possibly you're not eligible to make the contract or make the application.
okay,
So
so,
that's what we're under your land contract agreement. Title has not been transferred, it hasn't.
No,
Okay.
title is not transferred from basically all.
So if everybody is in agreement,
So if title hasn't transferred, you're under like a lease agreement to buy, but at least to purchase basically, the land.
It's not considered a lease, it's considered a land contract.
Okay.
yeah, they would be two completely
Okay.
separate things.
so I think at this time we should just do a continuance on this and.
Well, let's see, what would you like to do?
Well, I mean, it sounds like if we had our discussion today, and you got a legal opinion, and they said, well, they're not the right guys, and Bruce needs to be able to back at square one.
Correct.
And then also, if we don't have the discussion, we're back at square one. It sounds like either way, we will.
Well, if we get a legal opinion,
And it says
approving
we
it, if he says you can't, then you're back to square one.
Right.
I don't, but if he
If I-
says, if he says it's legal, it's legal to do that, then we can probably move forward.
Make sure.
And it's.
Yeah, because you're kind of halfway through right now. You went through the board, they sent it to regional came back, and now it's a determination of what they're gonna do with it. So you're a little bit further ahead than starting
Okay.
over.
Well,
again.
I would say.
Would we be able to
start
get
the
it?
whole thing over.
Yeah.
We'd be glad to
Yeah,
discuss
I would
our
say
side.
so. I'll let Brett know that time is of the essence and we need an opinion back prior to the next meeting. Which gives him a month. I mean, that should be enough.
And we could get title on there.
Todd, have you heard, not to put you on the spot, have you
Sure.
heard of this with land contract being signed as owner? Or is it?
Well, I'm not an attorney either, but, I do know that a lot of times people will submit on behalf of the owner, and then with a land contract. I'm gonna defer whether or not how Brett feels about them. But the other thing too is, I would continue the meeting until Brett tells you, what to do. And I'd also ask Brett if you can amend the contract so you don't have to start all over again.
Right.
That might be an option too. I don't know.
At one point in time, the owner of Bruce asked us to do this for him.
Okay.
So we were at one point going to do it for him, because you can be a representative here for somebody else. So we were gonna do this one time for him, and then we just ended up.
So I agree, then have them hear them out and see what's going on, and then Brett might have, just go based off of what he's requesting.
Right. I wouldn't start the whole thing over again, or
Yeah.
have him go ahead and do it. You're at a halfway point now, so let's get clarification from the prosecutor's office, if you can move forward with it or not. So, we
And
probably
after,
should
sir, would
have.
I be able to finish my comments also?
What's that?
Would I be able to finish my comments
Go
also? As of right now?
If you like.
Yeah. What I'm concerned about is, last time he said, well, hey, I'll just put a 100-car parking lot there. And I started thinking, is that what we're gonna do? Put all the tax dollars in the town's pocket right behind us? And then have a parking lot there in regards to Mosville Road? And that kind of, it may be off-put a little bit. Light industry isn't what our part of the township is mostly made of. It's a lot of agricultural. It's waving to your neighbors. And that's why we have a great turnout here tonight. And I'm vehemently against turning that to LI. And everybody here, the neighbors that are here, would really rather R3 to be in that area. Because countage is countage. I'm also a little concerned that they are representing the acreage right behind us, like I kind of mentioned before. Is there going to be a tie-in there? Are they going to put their building and have water and sewer on the county side and just use the driveway to Monroe Road? There's too many variables there. I don't feel comfortable about it.
Okay.
In regards to the parking lot comment, parking lot I did not say, I'll put a 100-car parking lot. I said with its current zoning, you can put an office there with a 100-car parking lot. So that wasn't said. I did not say I will put one there. I said with its current zoning, you can put an office there with a 100-car parking lot. So I did not say that. We do represent the land that surrounds it. But
When you mean surrounded, how do you define it?
the land, all the land to the west of it is represented.
That would be in
This is the Scottsdale property,
in
South Industrial, yes. We do represent that, and it's all of those lots are currently under contract.
right behind it to the.
Yeah.
Well, the one lot's owned by, I believe, either the heating and cooling.
Apollo Heating and Cooling did buy that lot.
Purchased that at the beginning of the
Yes, they
year.
bought that lot, and they're gonna start building on that, so that's the other lot is under contract with another buyer. There's two other lots that touch it, and they're both under contract with buyers that are in place. In regards to the parking lot, and me saying that, even though those words did not come out of my mouth, I explained what they were. If that was a concern to this committee, we would put a deed restriction on our property, a self-inflicted deed restriction on our property to not make it an exclusive parking lot. Just to be clear, that was not our intention.
Well, I'm kind of curious, doing a little research, I was looking at the zoning book under LI and OR, and I was kind of curious what you need in LI that you don't have in OR.
I just thought LI expanded it a little bit more, like a nice little 5,000 square foot. The buildings that are currently on that side of the street, down that north of it, a bit, something like that. There's 3 or 4 buildings north of it, something that complements that, something that complements the LI zoning code.
Well, maybe it's a deal.
And the reason why the switch from OR to LI, from a commercial to a commercial, and not a commercial to a residential, was because OR and the Office Research Code, which you guys have said is antiquated, and office predominantly is not the market anymore. The market now is a 10,000 square foot building with a very minimal amount of office, and the rest is typically warehouse or something like that. Heavy office users, they don't come around as often as they used to since the pandemic. It just is what it is. But going from a commercial to a commercial, we see makes sense, and it expands on the commercial a little bit. Going from a commercial to a residential that is completely surrounded by light industrial, although we have townage, does not make sense. If we were to buy this, we bought this land in regards to looking at the comprehensive plan that was made in 2021. So we bought this land thinking, here's Brimfield's comprehensive plan and what they're looking to do. And it makes sense to us that we had these discussions with Bruce Powers, previous owner, to make these changes. It makes sense that this needs to match the rest of the stuff on that side of the street. And R3, and I explained last time, across the street, the RR, the R3. We're not here representing any of that or talking whatever. We're just here representing what we think makes sense on the west side of the street.
What specifically, in the LI that you don't have in the OR? Because I'm looking at it here, and you have professional, administrative, and executive offices, and that seems to me like what you're talking about right now.
We're talking about office/warehouse buildings.
Okay.
Like a warehouse with a small office and a flexibility.
Well, why would that not be considered into like accounting, engineering, survey, planning? There's no specific, unless the uses that are.
It just seemed like an office.
So you're looking to put a warehouse on there? Is that what you're saying? Because you mentioned that.
We don't know yet, but that's what we have in
So
mind.
you don't have any blueprints or any plans that
No.
represent to us exactly what you're.
Correct.
Yeah, no, we have not got that far yet, but.
Are you guys developers?
No.
So you wouldn't, if you decided that you were going to put a warehouse in there, you would not be financing it, you would then be selling that property to like Geis or
Not, we're,
D-Hoff or something?
No, we intend to develop it.
Yes.
We're not developers by trade.
yes, we intend, this is our property, and we intend to keep this property, all of it. And this will not be a nice property or anything like that. This is good. This is our property.
See, some of the issues here really don't conform with without getting a clear guidance from you on exactly what your intent is. You see the concern that the neighbors have, because it opens up where they can even have outdoor storage of goods, you can have supplies associated with principal activity and so forth on the property, and I think that's some of the concern that the residents have, where the other concern in the OR, you don't have that.
Well, in regards to, outside storage of goods, I don't know, I have a few pictures here. I don't, would it look any worse than what's currently in these pictures, which I can pass around? Would it look any worse than what's in those?
Well, if they're in violation, that's the fellow there that needs
Yeah, I
to
didn't think it would
be aware of.
And we're not looking for, so when we say warehouse, like an outside storage, we're not looking to, I don't know if a company would want that. Maybe between our property and the neighboring property, there is a buffer zone that doesn't allow for outside storage on that, close to there. But somebody's gonna store, even an office user can have storage outside.
Right, we had a gentleman came in some time ago, and they were looking at putting containers, shipping containers on their property as well. And that really didn't fit with the overall. But you see, the neighbors are concerned in regards to if you go to Alive, you may choose to do something.
Yeah.
But if I could speak on these pictures, that's me building a 4x4 built screen so I can put in my putting green. My mother's 90, so I haven't been out to a bar. This is the first time I've been to a location with other people. So that is a screen, the screen dirt down to a 1/4 inch. Most of it's over on my green. I've shown my pictures of my green that I have. It's a dual level green. There's tarps over the little dirt that I have left. There's a couple barrels there in the process of cleaning that up. And that's all that's there. It's nothing that can't be moved, and I use wheelbarrows to move my dirt. I have 304, which is a compacting product, so I can put concrete right in front of the garage, which I concreted 3 years ago.
So it looks like a junkyard to me.
Not to me.
We're not specifically here to talk about that property. You entered it as an example.
Yeah,
I think we're here talking about you changing this to LI.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, and I don't want it, and I don't think anybody here.
Right now, we have this be sent to the prosecutor's office,
Now
for opinion.
you gotta make a motion on that too.
Okay. And, okay, can I get a motion on that first?
So I make a motion to send the application for review to the prosecutor's office for determination of ownership.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, so we're gonna just totally continue this until we get something back from the prosecutor's office.
And then we'll hear from someone.
Well, we're gonna have the regularly scheduled meeting, and we'll have the prosecutor's office give us opinion before next meeting,
Okay, so we'll be pushing this to the next meeting.
which would be,
August 11th is our next meeting.
you wanna make a motion to continue the meeting until you get that from the prosecutor's
If
office.
somebody would,
I'll make a motion to continue
Okay.
to August.
yeah, I have a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Before we move on, I just want to make like a lead,
We got a motion though.
Wait till I get-
So we gotta make sure everybody's in. vote for
Okay.
that.
I just want to make clear.
Just hold on one second.
Okay,
Anybody
I
opposed?
made the motion,
okay.
and Tom made it.
Tom second. Okay,
Everybody, aye.
motion
Aye.
carried.
Motion's carried. All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if we like answered, like, we're not looking to do like any exterior storage of stuff like that, you know, we're looking at a nice property that we're proud of. And, you know, we'd be willing to work with, like I said, we can with the zoning deed restriction on parking, you know, like a parking lot. We never wanted that, and that wasn't what was explained on the last one, so. And just with the OR, your question, like why office and warehouse, because it just didn't say, it says office, professional office. A lot of professional offices have a professional office and then warehouse, but we didn't know like exactly the extent of what you would have. So I guess the worst case is keeping it OR, but from going from a commercial to a residential on that end, we just feel it detrimental.
The other thing you might want to do is you have a lot of people here that's not directly affected on the west side of Mogador, but you have people that are affected on the east side that, you know, per our discussion and adding on to this, and they're here and they may want to speak on that as well.
And that's, on amendment 1, right?
Yeah, I mean, because you brought it back, you're continuing the application and the applicant on the west side, because that's really all he applied for was the west side of the street. But, you know, since you brought it back to regional and had some discussion on the east side and along with how, you might want to hear from some of the residents.
Okay. Okay, but could I have, does anybody have anything to say about the R3 high density for the 8.78? That would be David and Judy's property and Mr. Bill's. That would be for your house, where your home is at.
Yes,
Okay,
we should let me speak.
so does anybody have anything? to
That's
say?
along Howell Road.
Along Howell Road, yeah.
Right.
That would be this,
I understand where Howell Road is. Just want to clarify for the discussion.
so,
Would you like me to speak?
go ahead.
Okay, Dean Mills, 496 Town Road. So I obviously see that you guys have made a change from RR to RR with the land behind our housing. Obviously, that is, I'm thankful for that, that's what we're looking for. And, you know, and then you were talking about the purity of no housing. Is that still?
That's on the items tonight, so they amended the agenda. This isn't changed yet, this is just a proposal
Correct.
of what what's out there.
Right, so is this something that you guys are specifically looking to?
They're looking at eliminating any private residential developments in RR,
Okay,
R1, and OC. During the last meeting, they discussed this, and as I went back to the code, open space conservation, rural, and low-density rural are all allowing PRD developments. And I don't think that was the intent of keeping an open space conservation to put housing in.
right.
So
So
they're
the-
gonna consider that. Yeah, that's okay.
So this is your proposal, correct?
This is the zoning commission's
This is
proposal.
zoning commission's proposal. So I'm extremely thankful for this proposal. A couple concerns that I do have. I understand from a business standpoint how we want to make the L1 area of the town, which is also L1. With that being said, I have a concern with, they can say they want to put something nice in there, but if ultimately the money's going to talk. We're going to want the nicest, biggest thing that we can get in there with trucks, whether it's not trucks, shipping containers. I mean, the LI would have to be something with so many extreme variables to where it's not really affecting such heavy traffic flow. So if it goes to LI, then that opens up trucking. It does, cut and dry. OR, like you said, has a lot of office warehouse that can still kind of give them the same satisfaction that they're looking for with this land. I also find it a little extremely disheartening that, there's photos of my neighbor's property that has nothing to do with that, okay? There's no reasoning for that. That's his personal property, he's allowed to put whatever he wants on there, and I looked at the photos and they don't look that bad. He's got a fucking green. I have a problem with that, okay? I feel like that's kind of just throwing money. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay if LI has some very serious restrictions, whether it's parking or no trucking or no shipping containers. Ultimately, like you said, with the recommendation of, I feel like he can get most of the things that he wants in that OR code, whether it's integrated or not. If he wants to put something very nice in there, I don't see how a office/warehouse wouldn't fit under that OR code. With that being said, I am also thankful for the proposal of not trying to lead any more LI into Brimfield in that area of moderate right now. And that's so. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? And this is on the Powell Road section, the
I think there's a couple things, Todd, we may need to do. Wouldn't we need to go into our land use and have the land use?
You're talking about your comprehensive plan now?
Yes.
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan is a living document and it can be amended as appropriate, And so if you make this change, you may want to go ahead and just amend your plan. I don't think that goes through regional planning at all. That just goes through you guys. So you want to amend your comprehensive plan, trustees would approve that. And you could show this area as not being, LI anymore, light industrial. You could be showing this as a residential at this point.
So the zoning commission can make that change, but they still have to go to the trustees.
The trustees of the adopting authority.
Okay.
And would that be then reflected in the land use? Or how much of that would we modify or?
Well, if you change it through the trustees, you have to modify the land use plan because it's a living document.
Right.
Yeah, it's, and nothing's set, these, the zoning code nor the comprehensive plan are set in stone. So they're meant to be living documents to be amended as appropriate, as things change and evolve. So I like what I'm glad you brought that up because you really should, if you're going to deviate from your comp plan, you should actually amend your comp plan to be consistent. And it's a 2050 plan, so it's not like a 2030 plan you can just do in 10 years.
What would be the procedure? Would we want to do that simultaneously or after the fact?
You can do that. You can do that after the fact and take care of this at hand, and then just make a motion that you want to reevaluate the comp plan just to reflect the zoning change to be reflected on the comp plan.
You get that back. You're gonna make that motion.
There's no motion to make. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't make a change to the comp plan until it's voted on by the trustees. And if they don't make the change to the comp plan, then they're incompetent. The comp plan is a living document that says where we're going and what we're doing. Okay? So it ain't gonna change until you change the law and then you put it in the plan.
Okay.
And we don't have anything to do with it, that's them.
Okay.
So let's move on with life.
So the R3, we're still gonna change, we still wanna change that, right? Okay.
Well, I haven't heard anybody say not to do the R3. I think it's a good idea to do the R3. I think the change from OR to RR on the residential, the east side of Howell Road, I think that's good. I don't want to see townage in my backyard. I mean, I got them enough. They take all our money.
Yep.
Do they or do they not?
They do.
Okay, so why are we giving them more land? So I could see that change. The things these guys want to do is, you know, it's a neighborhood fight. I think if you have that sales agreement, I think you have a copy of it. We need to make a photocopy so it can be emailed over to the prosecuting attorney tomorrow.
I can scan you a copy of it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Can I drop it off at Mike's tomorrow?
yeah, somebody get it to Mike and he can get it over to the attorney. And that's the place to start.
Because I guess I'm concerned in regards to annexation of that property to Talmadge. Because now that they've got that LI, they've got the property west of it, they've got the property on Monroe Road. Will it be-
Well, they tried that years ago and we stuck a fork in them. They're not coming any
They
farther.
did
You know, with
try.
the JED agreements, I don't believe that they can annex that
No,
section.
the JED agreement prohibits that from
The
that.
JED agreement doesn't prohibit any more annexation
Yeah.
from
Right.
Brimfield to Township.
Yeah, we spent thousands and thousands of dollars to stop them from coming this way anymore. So they're not gonna take it.
At this point, I would entertain a motion to change the portion up there to R3 along the Hall Road corridor.
I'll make the motion to change the Howell Road section, what was it, like 9 acres there?
Yeah, you can ask them.
So R3.
Okay, Bruce?
So do you have to make a motion to make that back property RR as well then?
That's a different
That's
motion.
a different
Okay,
motion.
is that tonight?
Okay,
Well, we're getting there.
I wasn't sure, this is like the second meeting.
okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say, signify.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. So your property will not be, will be R3 property.
Not officially yet, we still have a
Well,
public.
Yeah,
So you're gonna make that, so then you're gonna make the motion to send these over to the trustees for consideration.
Right.
And they get a look at it and then they vote on it. So there's a meeting with them, which they'll discuss this. It'll be on their agenda. Now, did you send notices to everybody in this?
We will send again, and it will be a public hearing at the
Again.
trustee level, but that date gets set by the trustees, and then
Right.
we send notice out again. And then everybody gets notified within that area.
Okay, because the one comment that Mr. Biltz made was the RR conversion from OR to RR on the east side.
Yep. Yeah,
Ryan, you want to entertain discussion on that at this point?
Sure. Does anybody have anything to say about it?
I'm in agreement with it, same. I have no concerns with that.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion then.
Well, I'll make a motion that we take the east side of Howell Road and send it up to the trustees to have it changed to RR district.
Very good.
The only question I had was, this is where that comes in, correct?
that's another motion.
That's another discussion.
All legal.
And actually, do I have to make a motion or anything to stay OR on the west side of Monroe Road?
No, that's what it is. That's what it is right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we're in there.
Motion on the floor.
We need a second.
Motion's on the floor.
Okay, second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Please. Okay, the motion is carried. This will now go to the trustees,
Yes.
and they will have a public hearing and meeting, which will be
They're
30
they're
days.
gonna set it. They set the meeting. So it's gonna go on to their agenda next meeting, and then they have so much time.
Yeah.
Usually it's within a couple weeks of that meeting
So
to keep within that 30-day period.
keep your ears out for trustees meeting. I don't think there's a problem with it, they're probably, I can't see why they wouldn't go that way, except that. Okay? All right, well, anybody else have anything about this? Okay, we're all set. Okay.
Yeah, then we were gonna enter into discussion regarding the zoning of OC, RR1, and begin the process of considering eliminating the planned residential development out of those sections.
So does, anybody on the board have, something to say about that discussion?
Well, yeah, so why don't you give a highlight of what the discussion's about for the audience, for anybody up to speed, what a PRD
Yeah.
is?
And I can do that too. So they're private residential developments. Basically, there's density increases, with the higher number that you go with to like R2, R3, R4, there's actually bonus density where you could create even more houses. But there is a provision in each section of these codes that allows you to go into a 50-acre parcel in our R1, our ROC, and put into development that are quarter-acre lots or less. And I've got a lot of feedback recently on some of the large lots that are now selling, and they just don't want to see a housing development go across, farm be destroyed. They want to keep the zoning that's actually there. So you're looking at some of these zoning districts that are 5-acre minimum, and these people have purchased their properties with 5-acre minimums. And then the housing development comes in and puts quarter-acre lots. So that's not the intent of this. We have way too many districts. Todd and I talked about this before. What we're trying to do is narrow down our districts to be purposeful. So, for example, RR is residential rural. R1 is residential low density. OC is open space conservation. It doesn't make sense to me why it's in those districts or allowing for those. The districts that we would entertain still keeping private residential developments would be R2, which is a medium density, R3, a medium high density, R4, a high density. Those make sense to me, and there's still plenty of land to develop into those areas where there's water and sewer. A lot of these areas don't have water and sewer where we do have the open space conservation along Mogador, and we certainly wouldn't want those to be developed anyway.
So if we make a motion to entertain removal of the PRD from those 3 districts, are we gonna send it over to Todd and have him chew on it and
Yes.
then bring it back?
Yep, so Todd would chew on it, bring it back to you guys, and then you'd make a decision.
Yeah, because there's a lot of districts that just doesn't make sense to put
Correct.
track.
Does this
I agree with
also
that.
then remove it from conditional use?
Yeah, it removes it from conditional use of that district, yeah.
But that still gives the authority, as I'm reviewing this, the trustees can adopt a PUD regulation standards that do not automatically apply to any property within the township. So the trustees still have the authority then to implement a PUD,
You mean a PRD?
PRD.
In what section are you referring to?
Well, 519.12, I might be, we're talking about, I'm sorry, I'm looking at planned unit development.
Yeah. So it's only relevant to chapter 3. So anything that's in chapter 3 of OCRR and R1, you would eliminate the conditional use of the PRDs, subsection 410, whatever it is. And that would eliminate the housing developments in those areas. Because there's a lot of concern, we have, and not to mention names, but there's some property owners that own farms all the way throughout the town. And, we've seen it in Talmadge, like you've seen some of the residents last time. They had that vote on the R6 zoning there that was denied. And it was a big uproar, hit the papers. Everybody's talking about, we don't want to put ourselves in those positions. We want to keep it into the higher density development areas.
So that takes it out of the DZA, because they're the ones that grant the
It
conditional.
won't be in the zone, it won't be allowed, so.
All right, very good.
So I make a proposal You want to do it, Tom, or you need to do it? Okay. What?
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a proposal that we remove the PRD from the RR district, the OC district, and the R1 district,
And send it off to regional.
and send it to regional for their review and comment.
I'll second.
Who's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you got it, Tom.
Let's see what else we could get Todd to do.
I apologize, I have to go to work.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You said that the last meeting, that the Carters own a section of this property
They
there?
own
Or is
the majority, they own the majority of this RR right here, right behind.
I think it's probably 80+ acres.
Yeah, they own a massive amount of that.
On the east side of, the Sunnybrook,
They own.
This here? this way here?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I have it backwards. This right here, they own this whole RR.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're back here, is that right?
Correct, yeah, my grandfather is here.
Okay.
And then he's all of this.
All this too?
Yes.
Okay.
So on Monroe Road, Carter owns that east side of Monroe Road from across the street from my house, almost all the way down to Howard.
And then there's.
Yeah, they own all that
stuff.
And that's the majority of the acreage that we're possibly involved in the
The-
LI
But
designation,
then they made that.
The 99 acre parcel.
like 90%.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I apologize.
You're
I have to
welcome.
work.
You're good.
So, thank you. Have a good day.
See you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bill, we haven't heard from Carter's.
No, but you know, when there's another public meeting, we send information to them, so they have the right to come in. What's their opinion?
Okay, anything else?
Todd, did you have something? Oh, I thought you had something.
I thought they were notified of the change. No?
So when it gets back to, you mean for the amendment right now with the conditional use?
No, the Carters, weren't they notified?
They were, they were notified at the first one, yeah.
Did we want to enter in the information that we got back from the county's auditor?
Yes, you can enter it as a document into minutes. That'd be perfect.
It's from Matt Alton. It was dated July 14th. Land use, zoning and taxes. Provided us with an opinion in regards to zoning change and the effect of said zoning changes on property taxes. You have copies of that, so.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody heard that. So the auditor's office, if there is any zoning changes into there, whatever your use is, if you're a residential house now and it did get changed to something else, your taxes aren't gonna go up. It's gonna remain the same. And that was from the auditor's office. So. The only way that I guess it could change is if you declared it agriculture. You might get some changes.
They might get a CAUD,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Todd, you wanted to speak about the town center?
Yes, John.
No, I thought it was a historic district discussion. Town
There
center historic
is,
district.
there is.
Okay,
So let me give you a couple of updates on that. So remember one meeting I told you that we submitted something to the state, Beverly goes to carry that forward. And they've done research on our idea of giving tax credits to people on the National Register or on the Ohio Historic Inventory. And they have not found anything in the state of Ohio or the rest of the country who's thought about doing tax credits. Again, what's the point of the tax credit is because you're adding value to the community. And so why punish people who are adding value to the community? And so I think we're going to be moving forward with that. I put this on the screen. And well, there's two other things. So we did do a historic district for Manaway Township, right? And so they have a copy of. So I don't know. I thought I sent it to Mike, but maybe I haven't. So I will make sure you guys get a copy of what we did for Manaway Township, so you can look at that. But what I got here is even better. This is going to be fun. Hopefully, you guys like Ravenna. But this is historic structures in Ravenna. Ravenna Township. So they have 200 historic structures. This is, what I'm gonna show you is an incomplete, I'm sorry for you guys, because you guys have to turn your heads around.
Yeah.
But they have 200 historic structures, either partially, some of them are on the National Register, most of them are on the Ohio History Inventory. And so we have a grant, we got a grant to do this project, but it wasn't that, we didn't get a lot of money, and it's mostly interns who are doing it. So this is, we have some walking tours here. And so with these walking tours, like I'll just click on the first one. And so with this, and I wish I had a mouse rather than this, but kind of scroll on down. They'll show you where they are. You can actually click on these, and I'll tell you, show you the picture of the house or whatever kind of thing. But you kind of like your summary that we did for the comp plan. You can just scroll through here, and I'll tell you some history about each one of these units. In many cases, they'll talk about the architectural style. But you can go through this whole walking tour and see all of these different homes and things.
And I did see this whole presentation at regional planning yesterday, and which Todd had with the. I really like this idea. I'd really like to see this come to Brimfield and display our historical homes.
So here, I'll show you some other things too. They had a good one of the East Maine's historic tour. Let's try West Maine. Let's see what that looks like. That's Cherry and Sycamore. I like East Maine better. Let's go back. So when we do this,
You guys are more than welcome to pull your chairs up or come out so you can see more.
so with East Maine, this is the main downtown, the Riddle blocks. So we provide like a riddle block timeline and when all these buildings were created. And just like we did before, you go into the actual blocks themselves, and it talks about the architectural style and who was involved in that in many cases. The other thing too, and I'm going to get to that in a second, I'm just bouncing through that, is we also did it by architectural style. So I'll go to one of those real quick for you. This is an interesting picture here because up there, this is when Quaker Oats actually started in Ravenna, and they actually have a letterhead with them, with that. Then, all right. So here's something for you. So you guys have Greek Revival, and you have a lot of the same architecture in your community. So these are students. The students who did this, the interns who did this for us, they're architectural students. So they gave examples of what Greek Revival is and the key elements there, and they have the common attributes. And then, so if you have a Greek Revival style, you can go to any one of these. That have that kind of house, you can go to any one of these houses and see how they did maintain their property.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they tried for each house. They tried to find out who the original owner was and anything about this person. Like this guy here, the very first one. I guess he was a sailor with the guy who wrote the Moby Dick book. So, and supposedly this guy, it mentioned, his character, his personage was mentioned in some of his books later down the road. Examples of what that looks like and the people who are there. You guys have a really good historical society here too. I mean, you guys can help. When I say you guys, the historical society can really help us put this kind of information together for you guys as well. So I'm going to go to another one, show you another example of historical art, like Italian. Yeah, let's get that one. Let's go to like Queen. Okay, yeah, the Queen Anne architecture is a good one. So again, we talk about what's the style, what are the attributes to the Queen Anne style, and then we show you where all they are in the Ravenna area, and then we kind of go through the different housing styles. We gotta find the castle. So one of the other things we can do with these. Keep going. Where's the castle? You can see that we've got a lot of information now. Here's the Paula Castle. They call it the castle. And then here, they actually have the Paulas actually have their own website, so you can click on that. So I should be able to click on and they'll take you to their website and stuff. So one of the things we can do is we can do oral histories. Like if somebody wants to talk about their house or their property, or maybe it was their grandparents' house or whatever, we can do an oral history and embed that in with the story. Or if they were willing to do a walking tour, again, all optional, but you could do a walking tour through the house and see what's going on. So when we talk about historic districts and stuff like that, it'd probably be nice to complement that with something like this. And this wasn't that expensive. Knocking on wood here, but we use insurance, so we're gonna do this budget for 200 houses in Ravenna for less than $10,000. So that's relative. I think that's relatively reasonable, if you ask me, for this kind of a product. The other thing that's good about it is, let me get out of here. The other thing that's good about it is the fact that it shares history. The young folks in here, like, I wonder what, they gain a greater appreciation for their community, and they learn about what happened in those buildings or houses or whatever they are. It's good for tourism because people would say, hey, what's going on here? And it's good just for the general public, so that when somebody says, hey, that house needs to be torn down, now that you know some of the history behind it, should we tear the house down or should we try to save the house? It really depends on the situation. So
that one there, you just have to be careful with the driveway, the railroad tracks.
yeah. And there was an accident there too.
I knew in the '60s, Joe and Sam Apollo. I worked with them quite a bit.
Yeah, we have, and there's a lot more to this. I'm just racing through this. You guys can again, this is still the draft, right? So we're gonna meet with the property owners in a couple weeks and ask them for input on their houses that we wrote about. And if there's anything they think we should add or anything that we didn't get right, we can fix it really quick. That's the other great thing about this. You can always add to this. It's really easy to add. So that's the other thing that's exciting about it. So anyway, does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff?
So all these homes would they be registered?
The houses that we listed are found either on the National Register of Historic Places or on the Ohio Historic Inventory. So there's certain criteria you have to be on the National Register. There's like 6 criteria you have to meet to be on the National Register. The Ohio Ohio Historic Inventory, you just have to basically be 50 years old or older as far as the house goes. And you can register yourself for a survey and register. I think there's an application you have to fill out, and you may or may not have to have a certified architect or historian do it. But
We have a number of historical certified houses, state certified houses. Kelso House is not one of them.
Well, and there are houses in Ravenna that you're not going to see on this, but they're definitely historic. And part of that's because we talk about historic district. Their district is pretty strict. It is punitive, and so they dictate paint colors and things like that. Who wants that? Not many people are happy with that.
Well, and it becomes expensive. That was one of the things we talked about. There's a house on Summit, Larry Starzig's house. It's built in 1880. And so we just put a porch on it. And he didn't want to go through all the portals and stuff like that to get them back to original or, replicated. So we still did some things, but he said it was too, like for him, he was just saying it was too restrictive because it means you have to sink a lot of money into it.
Right, so there's a difference between preservation and restoration. So like in that case, you have to restore it, you do it the way it was done originally.
Right.
To preserve it, it just has to look and have that same look and feel to it. You don't have to go to the 9th or 10th degree to make it restored. And I don't think we should force people to restore things. I think we should encourage them to preserve things.
Yeah.
For anybody's information, Saturday from 2 to 4, there'll be an ice cream social and a hot dog, 3 hot dogs at the Kelso House. It's all free.
I'm always looking for free hot dogs. I'm back on you, but Bill,
Yeah, I love all the extra nitrate.
Actually, Commissioner, Mr. Conka had a concern here in regards to
I was just noticing.
residential medium-high density?
Yes.
Because he's been there 50 years, maybe a little longer than I have. I've been there 52.
Well, what high, high density, is that apartments? I mean, why have you selected this area where we live to become R3?
Todd, do you want to talk on that one?
Okay, so the reason why we looked at R3 is because directly across the street.
What's the reason for that?
Okay, so directly across the street is R3 zone property, similar size, similar configuration. So we recommended to match that zoning. You don't want to have pockets of inconsistent zoning. So we recommended the R3, just like they have across the street. The other thing too is we recommended the R3 because if it was OR, which it currently is, or the LI, which we had proposed originally, in either case, you're a non-conforming use as a residential in either OR or LI.
Correct.
So the idea of going to R3 would make all of those conforming. And so if you wanted to get a shed or add on to a garage or on your house, you didn't have to go come in for a conditional use permit. So that's the reason why we.
We're taking, so essentially, we're taking your house as a residential use right now.
Right,
You're in a commercial
but
district.
it's gonna change whenever it's sold or somebody.
No. So it's gonna stay a residential use now. Now, the way it sits for you right now,
Yes,
if you sold, somebody would come in and put a commercial use
they could.
in. Yes, and we're changing it to staying residential.
They could put ice cream stand in there.
Yep.
You know,
We're just trying to make it, what you are is what we want to keep it. So,
And another thing with being non-conforming, the banks are frowning on lending money on non-conforming properties. So, by doing this, that gives you some relief if you ever decide to
your family, your estate, or you decide to sell, a bank could say, geez, that's zoned as commercial. It's zoned as commercial, we're not gonna loan money on it.
They were looking as non-conforming.
Right.
And then that red flags and it limits the type of loans you can get.
you guys are gonna stay there forever anyway.
You're
like me, I'll live there.
Pass away and it'll be passed on to the kids and they'll live there forever.
There you go. I know what you mean. My kids are yelling at me to sell a
Right to a
home.
restaurant, right?
Yeah. And go to a condo, and we won't have to want anything to do with it.
I just have one last statement
Okay.
in regards to, this is in regards to me. I wonder how misleading that is on an application to state that they are a property owner, in which it clearly states that they are not. Is that illegal?
We will find out.
Well, it's going to the county prosecutor.
Right.
And we will probably get that information back.
Because I clearly asked him the question, are you the property owner? And he said yes. But on that document, it says no. And then he filed an application with you guys.
Oh, thanks.
And I guess it's that type of misleading stuff that makes me very nervous to move that designation in.
But that's how, I mean, in fairness, that's how he's reading it. And that's a matter of perspective then. I mean, that's why we're going to get clarity. But if you were to buy a property in the same way he was doing it, and you wanted to do something, and you would feel like, okay, even though the paperwork isn't following, you would probably feel led to like, well, I want to try to make some zoning changes.
He's got to pay $100,000 more before he has that deed though. And he doesn't own the property.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but that's where the clarity comes in on the legal side of the house, to be able to say he's recognized as a property owner, or he's not recognized as a
Next
property owner.
meeting.
August 11th.
Right.
The
I was
11th.
gonna say, there's three ways to get a zoning change, right, Mike?
Yes.
And what are they?
So it's property owner's application, it's zoning commission's request, or I believe it's one from the trustees.
So that's it. There's only three ways to change.
I mean, everything we're talking about would be null and void if the actual owner would come in and do the same drill. And do the
That
same
didn't
thing.
happen.
No, I understand, but they could, they could just take the process over again to do that. So then we'd be still having the same discussion.
I guess it just makes me real nervous in regards to different kind of.
Well. But that isn't necessarily just these guys, that's, pretty broad brush about what happens, what goes on with property things. Because you don't know what's gonna happen.
That stuff happens to me every time I turn on the news.
Or we don't turn it on.
Yeah. Go on.
Adjourn, we're gonna set the next zoning commission meeting will be what?
August is not.
August 11th.
August 11th.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
I'll second that motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Might as well see this through, Kevin.
I'll be in Kelly's Island that day, so make it more.